Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 147 of the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. We are brought to you by Black Belt Digital Marketing. I've only said that 140-something times, right? Anything you need to build your business on or offline, website design, Google Ads, graphic design, printing, we can absolutely help. Check us out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram or our website, bbdigitalmarketing.com. You can request a free review of your entire online presence today right there on the homepage. My name is Milton Campus. I'm a black belt training out of South Florida. We got Christian behind the camera. Yo. Bo on the other camera. Don't forget to like, comment, download, share, click that subscribe button. We appreciate all the support. I mentioned last week, just a quick note, right? If you listen to us on Google Play is now on, or basically the podcasts that were on Google Play are now on our YouTube channel. There's a podcast menu tab now. Everybody's moved over. So our entire podcast library is now available on YouTube aside from the video cast. If you're listening to this going, I thought this was a video cast. I thought I could find a video. Yeah, just go to our channel. You'll see the video. But they're both there. So joining us today in the studio is the founder of McDojoLife and the executive VP of Academy Safe, Rob Ingram.
What up? I appreciate you having me on, brother.
I appreciate you making that drive. What is it, about 6 hours?
No, it's like 5.5. But,
oh, man. Hats off to you, man.
Like, it gives me an excuse because, like, my favorite part of doing long drives is I go onto, like, iTunes. I don't care if you like Spotify, bite me. But I go onto iTunes, right? And someone who, iTunes? Yeah. Like, yes, I like iTunes. I pay for it. I'm going to use it. So, anyway, they have a feature on there that's like Discover Music.
Okay.
And it just plays stuff that I've never heard.
Yeah.
And so on a long drive, I'll go through hundreds of songs. I'm like, that song's crap, skip. Oh, that's good. Thumbs up, save, that kind of thing.
I haven't done that one, but what I do, maybe it's similar. And I know it's not the same. If it's completely things that you haven't heard, I do the like Milton Station. Like I click on Milton Station, so it'll play me stuff on my iPod and then other stuff by those artists or similar music.
Yes.
So I am staying within like the genres that I have.
I do that sometimes. I do that sometimes, like because it kind of gives you stuff that you already like, but then it's like, hey, here's something new you might like. You know? So, but I like,
and I'm doing that safe too. I'm just like, I got to get this.
I find all kinds of stuff or songs I haven't heard in like 15 years. I'm like, oh man, you exist.
What is your go-to if you're just picking up the phone? You're like, I'm gonna listen to music today and not do that. What's your genre?
I just go right to my playlist. I like everything.
Yeah.
So I'll do like country, rock, hip hop, 90s, like whatever. But I have tons of stuff saved on there. It's just whatever my ear likes at the moment. That's what I'm listening to. Same.
I've actually gotten into country music probably over like the last 5-6 years, but more of like, I guess somebody told me it's called like hick hop or just more of like
hick hop.
Yeah,
hick
hop. But more of like, if I get like, Kane Brown kind of stuff, like more of that, like a little bit of an R&B flair. It's not so like, hey, getting in my truck, sorry to anybody. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but but every once in a while something comes on, like people would be surprised if they heard me listening to this.
Yeah, there's another term for that was very similar, but I can't think of it right now, but I will.
I didn't coin that term, by the way. That was somebody mentioned that to me because I was like, how do I search that specific? I know there's just like country pop is really what it's called.
There's a Pandora has a you get different playlists or whatever. They have one called Hip Hop Barbecue. If you really like 90s hip hop, it's the jam. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like house party music.
Yeah. How old are you?
39.
Oh, you're a
oh my God.
You're
40 is creeping. Youngin. Tell that to my niece.
Yeah.
That was like hearing somebody say, I'm 9 going on 10.
Let me do. I forgot to start my timer.
Get out of here, buddy.
Let's do a couple of quick shout outs here. So we are brought to you by academysafe.org. Academy Safe is a nonprofit whose mission is to help clean up the martial arts by advocating for background checks, U.S. SafeSport certifications, right, for all coaches and staff. Full disclosure, you're looking at the executive team right here. I am the executive director of Academy Safe, and Rob Ingram is not only the founder of McDojoLife, but he is the executive VP of Academy Safe. And together we're going to try to clean up the way that people find and vet martial arts academies throughout the country by providing a website registry listing Academy Safe certified gyms around the country. All right, so there'll be other things like CPR, first aid certification. We've been talking about defibrillators. We actually spoke to a defibrillator company.
Which was very eye-opening.
Yeah, right?
That was a really interesting conversation with the defibrillator guy.
Yeah, we can give a little peek there. Like, there are companies out there that would provide the defibrillator to an academy certify them in not only the use of that defibrillator, but also be able to provide the first aid and CPR certification.
Yeah, and the upkeep.
And the continuing ed even on that piece. And then we take a step further. That guy was nice enough to say, hey, there's this other company that has these other defibrillators that are better than the ones that I have.
It's like idiot proof. The only thing with the defibrillators, I guess, that I didn't even think about is like what happens when the battery dies.
Sure.
So like you have to have like upkeep for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now I think defibrillators are astronomically expensive. They were like well into the $3,000-$4,000 range.
Yeah.
But the company that he suggested is a fantastic idea. Obviously, we have to have conversations with them. But it was a great idea.
Yeah.
And if we're able to get those down to a wholesale price and get that down for martial arts instructors, I think we'll save some lives, because the sudden cardiac arrest thing happens all over the world, no matter what you're doing. You just be walking, all of a sudden, bam, dead. And we're hoping that we can fix that, especially in terms of like response times.
Yeah.
Which, you know, the defibrillator he was talking about is incredible, because it'll alert you. Like, let's say that defibrillator is next door. It will alert you and say, hey, this defibrillator is right next door. If you need help, that's where it's at. Like, it's good stuff.
I've been thinking about one of the things that he said, which was, I mentioned that my building has a whole bunch of defibrillators by the elevators in the gym, like all over the place. It's great. When I moved in, I was like, this is great. But I also noticed that like there was like a piece of like an instruction manual laying over the top. It was like clearly had not been open, touched, charged. So I ran into it right before we met with that guy. I saw a guy inspecting them, and I was like, oh, great. And I said, hey, you're inspecting these? He's like, yeah, great. And the guy that we spoke to, he says, that's great that they have them, but who knows how to use them? Which is the scary part. Yeah. It's like, great, it's here. I could be dying and having a heart attack right next to that thing. And who's going to know what to do? The other one that he mentioned to us, where it's just like, you could use it on an adult or a child, and the pad recognizes, what was it, basically through like the electrical impulse that it's getting back from the patient or the victim.
It'll detect immediately. It'll detect if it's a child or an adult, because like with certain defibrillators, they won't tell you.
Yeah.
So you'll just like put a child pad on the adult, and then you'll hit the button and nothing will happen, because it's meant for a child. So the voltage is, I'm assuming, much lower. Well, the same thing is even worse if you switch the pads out adult onto a child and that voltage is too high. It could, possibly harm or kill the child.
Yeah.
So the ultimate goal is to get it so that way it is absolutely idiot proof.
Sure.
And look, I've been in the martial arts industry now for 27 years of my life, since I was 12 years old. And during that time, I got to tell you, there's a lot of people in the martial arts industry who did that, didn't go to college, sometimes didn't graduate high school. So in terms of maybe book smarts, might not be on the level. They know their art. They know how to teach. They're fantastic people. They save a lot of lives. But that might be too difficult to, in the heat of the moment, and something you're not trained in, to go, which pad? And next thing you know, the child passes.
So how amazing the company that can lease the defibrillator, right? At least that's one of the options that they were talking about. Lease the defibrillator, you pay a monthly cost, and they're not only training you on it, but training you on other aspects of
or updating or keeping up
and,
with it. Hey, you don't have to worry about if the battery's dead
and
or not, because they're looking into it. They're
people coming and going in academies all the time, right? And even staff, right? Staff, coaches, right? So now you have a coach. It's like, well, I wasn't part of that training, right? You can get them the training, and it's all there, and they're doing it for you. So lots of things. We're going to talk about this more throughout the episode, not just this, but Academy Safe. But we've been talking about this and saying, like, we really don't want to charge the academies, right? So we are trying to raise some money, right? We need to be able to do this. So we started a GoFundMe. You can find the link in the description wherever you're listening to the podcast. We'd love everyone that can donate donate something small if you can. You can do a recurring. So if you don't have a lot of money, you want to be part of this, you can donate $5 a month. It'll come out of your card automatically. But at least please share the link. You can. That's the easy thing that everybody can do. Even if whether or not you can donate, you can share. So please get that out there. Again, we do have our landing page up now. The landing page right now is just a home page and a our blog. So we're talking a lot about issues within the martial arts community, and we have a few things that we have to get in line before we can finish building the website. The structure is there. we need to find out what integrations we can use, and we have one of those meetings tomorrow with the company that's
I'm
going
looking
to
forward to that
potentially
too.
kind of give us that entire back end that does what we want to do, and basically it will help us keep track of who's got what certification. And these things exist. Joe Scargill, who was on the podcast last week, put me together with USA Wrestling, which does a small piece of this. They do the background checks and the certifications with USA Sport.
Right on the
and
website.
it's right there. Man, he did it in front of me where he logged in. He went to his profile. He was like, oh shit, my background check is expired. He was able to go and went to the company that does the background check. So this exists. The structure that we need exists. We're going to do some other things that could potentially be done by like an admin manually, but it would be wonderful if it was all automated. We need less money, less staff, right? And then the website kind of operate. And then it's more of like webmaster and an admin
Easier,
versus
faster, safer.
then 5 or 10 admins for checking backgrounds and lineage checks and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, please share, donate if you can. But now you can go to academysafe.org. If you mistakenly go to .com, it sends you to .org. So we've got both domains. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can donate on PayPal. You can donate on our GoFundMe. You can also join our waiting list. So if you are at an academy or you're the owner of an academy, there's a form. Just scroll down on that homepage. You can send your information. So, your academy name, contact information, email, physical address, all that stuff. You'll fill out that form. It'll come to me. We'll add you to the waiting list, and we will let you know as we get closer what we can do. We'll actually love to probably work with those academies in the beginning, a little bit of beta testing, make sure that we can do what we say we want to do on the website. At the end of the day, it's wonderful to see that a lot of these things exist as we get further into it. So this isn't like some crazy structure that we need to create. There are companies doing this already, at least parts of it, and it makes our job a little bit easier.
I think even with consumers, like martial arts instructors already know this, but I don't think the average consumer is aware that there is no regulatory body at all. There's no regulations at all to starting a martial arts studio. So that means no one's going to come check on you. No one's going to make sure you're good. No one's going to give you background checks or even ask for them. And the average consumer only knows to ask one question, which is, how much does it cost?
Sure.
Which on the bar of importance where you're going to put yourself or your child and spend a lot of time and effort and energy if you're trying to get good at a skill, that's a very low bar.
Yeah.
Like you should be asking, are you CPR first aid certified? Just in case something happens in an industry where you're guaranteed some time to get hurt.
Yeah.
If you make it through all the way to your black belt without any injury whatsoever, congratulations. Because you were a part of a small select few.
Yeah.
Like, if you, I have to do stories with McDojoLife probably 2-3 times a week. I wish I was exaggerating, but 2-3 times a week about sex offenders in the industry who had histories of doing these nefarious activities, and no one cared because there are no regulatory bodies. And I think that I've seen a couple questions as we've been starting to get Academy Safe out there and advertising it. And one of the major ones is from people who just truly don't understand the process. The biggest one, of course, is being, well, I don't want the government to come in and tell me what I can and can't do. That's a slippery slope. For those people out there who are worried about that, my goal is to ease your mind. Our goal is to make it so that way that doesn't have to happen. And the organization that sort of like that labels movies are PG-13, right? That's not a government organization.
Sure.
That's just an independent body. And they did that so that way it would help stop overreach and government agencies stepping in and saying, you can or can't do this, you can or can't say this. Our goal is to let academies run. We want academies to run. And we understand that people have histories, but at the end of the day, getting a background check doesn't stop your employer from hiring you. It just makes it so that way if your employer sees something that is a huge red flag, then they have the ability to be honest and open and say, you know what, maybe this isn't for you. Does that mean you'll never have a job in the martial arts industry? Maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, the employer has the right to know. So that way they can keep the consumer safer. And it's just ridiculous to think that martial arts has been around since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
If the first time somebody was like, hey, I want that, and someone got punched in the face for it, that's how long martial arts has been around.
Yeah.
And so it blows my mind that at no point in time did anyone decide, like, maybe we should try to stop the rape. No one was like, whatever shall we do with that? Like, it'll be fine. They're good at jujitsu, so we got to just let it slide. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I've had some conversations where it's just like, well, the guy, he's a good guy though, but he did this, very specifically in that case, it was not about sexual assault, but it was about some of the things that I mentioned to you that happened with my old coach. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, it is bad enough to fry him a little bit. We should hold his feet to the fire. Hitting on the wives and girlfriends of your students is a no. I understand that they may not be illegal, but when you're married, your wife is a coach there, and you are actively going after your students' significant others, I think that may not be the same red flag. That's a red flag, period. But I don't see a good defense for it. He's different now.
I think that
I just don't see it.
Kind of like how I've done with McDojoLife. I don't think I've ever told people specifically, don't go here, don't do this, don't train with this person. Like, you're an individual, you're a consumer. If you can overlook those things, that's all on you. But at least there's now transparency. Yeah. So with Academy Safe, it'll allow us to let the consumer know, hey, they've done background checks. They have a defibrillator on site, but no one's CPR first aid certified. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, they are officially, legitimately certified Academy Safe because they've met all the criteria. Yeah. So I think there's so much that could be done there, because we're not telling the consumer what to do. We're just giving them open, honest, transparent information that allows them to make a better decision as a consumer, which I think, since that doesn't really exist in our industry, and martial arts is very convoluted for people who haven't done it. Yeah. Like, there's 50 words for sensei. Professor, you have sensei, you have sifu, right? Some people call them coach instead. But if you just walk into a martial arts studio for your first time, you might not know that there are differences. Yeah. You just, all right, well, I guess my sifu, you don't have a sifu? Why not? Because we do a different art. So there's so much to learn, but at the very least, the old school ideas of what a McDojo are, in my opinion, are just wrong. How much does it cost? That's subjective. If it's too much for you, then that means you just don't make enough money for that, and that's okay. Go somewhere you could afford it. Does that make them a McDojo because of that? Not necessarily. If they've done CPR first aid certification, local federal background checks, that you can verify, they might not be very good, but even that is subjective to the individual. So I think it just kind of boils down to giving out facts to the consumer, let them make better decisions.
I have gotten a couple of messages, and I'm realizing, and we'll continue to dig in. And again, if somebody's already getting background checks, great.
That's great.
You got your US SafeSport, like my last guest, Joe, who's on the board now. Joe Scargill is did I say that before? I think I mentioned him. He's actually on the board of directors now. We've closed that deal, and he is now joining us. So I'm excited about that. We have a Secret Service officer on the I think it'll, he had already offered, hey, look, they have some programs that we might be able to get you guys involved with. Before we sat down and we had lunch, and we were talking, and he offered more help. And I said, how do you feel about joining the board? And he was just like, yes, it'd be an honor. So that was awesome. What I was going to say though was, seeing him, go on the app and go on USA Wrestling and show me that, he had to do his background check and SafeSport certifications. I mentioned to him, I said, I've been getting it. It's awesome that I see that you have that already. People have been telling me online, hey, I have to do that in this area, right? But it's not that it's specific to the Martial Arts Academy. It's if they're dealing with children. So aftercare programs and things like that. If you're in, there are some, I think not state mandated regulations, but it looks like maybe local mandates to actually have the background check, not the SafeSport certification, but the background check. If you're dealing with any after school programs, aftercare, you're dealing with children, again, not specific to martial arts. So it's wonderful that they have that, and it does exist. So people that send me those messages, a lot in Canada, we've gotten messages from Canada, UK, Australia, different people saying, I have that. We have to do that here.
Yeah, certain places are different. Yeah. But an example of...
And places throughout the U.S. that say, I have to do that because we deal with kids.
In certain cases, there's nothing, even for sex offenders. So I've been going through a lawsuit. There was a guy who hired a registered sex offender, right? And then he lied and said he didn't do that. But he did. So bite me. So but the case is astonishing to me because I learned so much about Megan's Law. I learned a lot about California regulations and policies when it comes to sex offenders. A sex offender in California is legally allowed to work around children. 100%. If that child or if that person has molested kids, their obligation is to tell their employer. So that's what he did. Well, he's saying that he didn't know, but he knew. But in any case, when it comes to that, that's up to the employer's discretion.
Can I say, did that play out in someone in the comments that he said he didn't know? I feel like I mean, I recognize the conversation as maybe that you were going back and forth with him. Yeah,
he said he didn't know, but he knew. Like I have eyewitness accounts of people who literally had their child in his academy, directly approached him, had a conversation with him, and he told them that, hey, I'm going to remove him from the kids' classes. He won't be around kids anymore, which was a lie. And then he told them, don't tell anybody else. Okay. Like, that's usually a bad sign when they say, hey, keep this between me and you. It's just a pedophile. Get out of here. Like, that's ridiculous. And so because of that, though, it opened my eyes to that dude was around children. That dude was legally allowed to be around children. He broke absolutely no law other than if the owner is saying is true, and he never told them, which is he told them. So, like, that means that right now there could be people who have molested children who are in a martial arts facility who are legally allowed to work around those children. So I think that making the industry have a better standard for itself will keep kids safe. And keep this in mind, that sex offender was able to have access to his current girlfriend/wife, who he was able to train with in private lessons at that facility while she was a minor. So, like, there's a photo that, because this dude loved to be online, he was constantly posting and tagging and sharing videos of a technique called monkey steals peach. Now, if you're in the martial arts industry, you might be familiar with that technique. Basically, it's grabbing someone by the crotch. So there's a photo of that girl as a minor grabbing this sex offender by the crotch during a private lesson that he decided to post online. How insane is that?
And what you said, married, then she grew up and married?
Yeah, whenever she became of legal age,
she married that guy whose peach he grabbed.
At the very least, I know for a fact that they are dating.
Okay.
So, but he didn't come public until after she became of legal age.
What was the age?
I mean, he's like 40-something, and she had just legally turned whatever the age was.
Yeah, that's the classic grooming we've been posting about.
Yeah, so 100%
on Academy Safe Instagram.
So, but that goes to show you that could happen to anyone's children.
Yeah,
that could happen. It could. Your child right now could be around a registered sex offender, and not only do you might not know, because did you do a background check on your coaches? Probably not. Did you even type in their name into Google, which is all I had to do? But that guy was in that academy for years. Yeah. So that means for years, you could just type his name into Google, and it's like the first 5 pages is all the things this guy has done, stories about him, his arrest record, all of that.
Yeah.
But how many people did it? Because they assume the best out of their instructors because of the virtues we give martial arts instructors: honesty, integrity, discipline, all of these things we give a complete stranger. Why? Because they could beat you up.
Because they have this black cloth around.
Go to any prison in the world. I guarantee you can find plenty of people that could beat you up that probably don't hit any of those virtues. Yeah. But because they're a martial arts instructor, that this pop culture ideology that they're bigger than life. It's not. They're just people. I guarantee you, most of you listening right now, your martial arts instructor has probably smoked weed. He probably drinks. He probably has gone to a nightclub that he probably shouldn't have gone to. He probably has regrettable activities that he's probably done. And they might be amazing people. Like, they might donate to Toys for Tots or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, they're just people. Yeah. It's a service that we're paying for. That's it. That is literally it. Anything else is on us.
But we said we're saying online and some of the stuff that we've been putting out. Let's normalize asking these questions.
As you should.
Are you certified in CPR? Do you do background checks on your staff, or are you? Can you show me a background check? Are you're the owner of? Can I do a background check on you? Can you show me a certified background check? And the answer in most cases is going to be no.
No, because they're not legally required, so they don't do it. And so the consumer assumes that they did that because the consumer assumes there'd be some regulations, but there's not. Yeah. And like, somebody even posted this the other day, which I thought was really cool. I had posted one of the Academy Safe posts, and it said, does your studio or does your martial arts academy require any of the above? And it was the things we just talked about,
Yeah.
CPR certification, first aid, defibrillator, all that. And they said not only does their academy have every staff member and volunteer local federal background checked, but they will pass those out on demand. So if a student walks up and says, hey, do you have a background check on so-and-so? They'll just hand it to them because everybody there is clear. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to go that far, but I'm saying that is incredibly impressive that studio went above and beyond when they were not required to do so. And aren't we martial artists? Isn't the goal to go above and beyond?
Yeah.
When have we ever said, you know what? Just do the minimum. That's all you need to do. That'll make you better.
We're going to come back to this. Let's give a couple other shout outs here. I want to come back to, I'm going to ask you a very specific question about adult grooming. So I'm telling you so that I don't forget. Adult grooming. I'm going to ask you a question. Adult grooming. So thank you to our friends over at Flow and Roll. Hands down the best custom gi and no gi gear in the business. Don't believe us? Visit them on Instagram at flow_roll. Flow_n_roll. Check out their custom designs they've created for academies across the country. And visit their website at flowandroll.com. Get 20% off with code JJD. Gym owners ask them about their incredible pre-order program, which can help you stock up on your academy, stock up your academy with only a small amount of out-of-pocket investment, right? So email them at flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their website and fill out the form on the homepage. It's flowandroll.com. And you can use code JJD. Did I say that already? Code JJD for 20% off your online orders. All right. That does not apply to pre-order. Okay. Leo Optics. Got to put them on. Did you do something with Leo Optics?
Oh, I advertised them way back in the day.
Okay.
But what sucks is I usually wear regular glasses.
Okay.
So I can't wear the glasses over the glasses.
Are you blind?
Dude, it's bad. Yeah, I wear contacts from time to time, but
when were you working with them?
Like years ago, long time ago.
Remind me. I'll have a conversation with you about this. It might be a good fit for you.
For sure, man.
Some things have changed over there. Leo Optics is a sunglass and apparel company specializing in signature bamboo sunglasses. They were founded in Southern California with products reflecting the BJJ lifestyle. Check out their website at Leo Optics and use code JJD for 10% off your order. I mean, I love this.
Well, don't they have they have the ranking on them?
Yeah.
So
you can get they always do it between the blue the white lines. You can get the blue, purple.
Yeah.
I said we were talking about the other day. It's like no, you can't get white. I just don't think they would do white. I think it would be like an insult. But you can get all the belt colors, and then obviously at black belt you do this. So right, if we see it right, which is really cool.
Yeah.
You can order and request. You have to request it. Otherwise, I believe you're just gonna get this, or I pretty much believe this is on everyone. I don't think that you have to ask, but if you want your color, you have to.
I think that's cool.
Request.
Yeah.
So very cool. It's funny because I actually left my other ones that, thank God, I had a pair in the studio. So yeah, these are the same ones. I thought they were a little bit different. They have two pairs that are like this, a little bit more squared off, a little bit bigger. I got a big melon, so I need like wider something. If not, it's like tight when I take them off. You see the lines like tight on my face.
Yeah, as I get older, I start to realize that now I can afford food, so I eat it. And I was like 155 pounds forever, and then finally I was like, oh, I'm not broke anymore. Like, what is this? You could buy this? They're like, yes, you eat it. That's how you survive. And I was like, oh God. And then I started eating things, and now I'm much larger than I was. But
I have that problem too. My
sandwiches are delicious, so I'll keep eating them.
We were talking about this before. I want to show it again. Hey, Bo, we didn't get really great picks. Do it this way. Hey. All right. Hey, gotta hurry up. We're on air, bro. Come on, you gotta be quick. Johnny on the spot. So you can be a hero. This is written by the Walkers. This is Bridger Walker's parents wrote this book.
Cool story,
right? This is the little boy who got bit in the face protecting his sister from a charging dog that wound up biting him in the face, right? You can see pictures on the back. We're not going to zoom in on that or anything, but you can see pictures when he first got bit. How the heck did we become involved with this, right? So we were running the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies Foundation for a couple years, and we were awarding scholarships. When we were deciding on the very first scholarship, Bridger had just gotten bitten. And we found out that he did jiu-jitsu, and we're like, oh, come on, this is it, right? So we paid for his jiu-jitsu for 1 year. The parents, I've been talking to Robert online for, on and off here just for the last couple of years since we did something. And not only did they write me a really nice letter, which we read on the last podcast, so I won't read it again, but what I thought was really cool was when we sent him a rash guard, we sent a bunch of gear to the family. This is the actual rash guard. This is our Jiu-Jitsu Dummies rash guard available on jujitsudummies.shop. And he wouldn't take it off. He wore, if you look up Bridger Walker and look up like YouTube videos, like he's on tons of different news programs. He went to like hockey games. He's forever in that rash guard. So they wound up putting it, he was in it so much that they put it in the book.
Yeah, well, I think it's cool that they sent you that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool and good for him. You know, to most people will go their entire life without having an opportunity to be a hero, and he had the opportunity and rose to the occasion.
Yeah.
So
one of the cool things about this, without like spoiling the book, it's actually kind of written from his sister's perspective.
Okay.
So it starts off with, I want to be a hero like my brother is to me. So then now read it with that perspective, and like, you know, she's, you know, talking about what he did and things that they can do, you know, in the community and together and as a family. So it's really, really cool. And in the back of the book, it actually has tons of pictures too, which is amazing. Very cool. It was just, you know, it's kind of cool to just be involved with that in some small way. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. And you can get this at on Amazon.com. Just search You Can Be a Hero. Or if you just search on Google, You Can Be a Hero, it comes up right at the top. So check it out. Buy it. It's awesome. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you sending that to me. So
unlock the power of your online presence with Black Belt Digital Marketing. Their reputation management program ensures your Google business profile seen by more potential customers. Black Belt Digital Marketing is your full-service digital marketing agency specializing in local SEO and reputation management. Boost your business today. Visit bbdigitalmarketing.com. Your success is their priority.
Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
back to what we were talking about, like it's a horrible transition from the children's book to.
So there we were talking about pedophiles. Yeah. Oh, by the way, check out this book.
We will I will definitely not. The last 3 episodes have been really hard to advertise. Like I do some advertising on Google, and when you were talking about your video getting kind of having issues on YouTube, and they're usually pretty good about it. You just I have to keep on like appealing. But the last 3 episodes where we really talked about this and we're saying the words that we're saying, it's like we're saying it and we're trying to do something about it, but obviously Google picks it up as like, oh no, it can't be talking about rape.
Don't talk about
molestation.
That now. That's real life.
Super hard to get these off the ground.
We're trying to live on the fantasy land of the internets. We don't want to talk about real things.
So let me ask you that question. You kind of looked at me funny when I said, what do I think about, we know like the grooming process and we're typically thinking about a child. Have you thought about how an adult could be groomed?
No, of course. Yeah, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be a child. I think when a lot of people hear the word grooming, they assume that it has to do with children, but people forget that cults exist. Cults have always existed. They'll continue to exist. The root word of culture is cult. Culture, cult. So our culture is made up of a bunch of different cults. You can have a cult of personality. You can have a cult of money. You can have a religious cult. But it all boils down to the same, which is there's someone in a position of power or authority over someone else, and they just take advantage of them. Yeah. And I think that most people assume that they cannot be taken advantage of by a cult, but that's like step one. That's like the easiest part of running a cult is the gullibility that people think that they're bulletproof. Like everybody can be taken care of. Here's an example. Go online, and you can post a picture of a puppy. Just post a picture of a puppy. Like, pretty puppy having a good time, enjoying itself, maybe prancing through flowers. Nothing political about that. And then let it go viral. Let it get a couple thousand views to start, right? I guarantee you within the first 100 comments, there will be someone who makes that political. Why? Because they're in a cult. They are in a religious cult. Their mind cannot get away from Biden or Trump. Sure. No matter what, that's what it's going to be. Well, that's the problem is they're the same people who think they can't be taken advantage of while they're being taken advantage of. So it's so much easier to fool people than convince people they've been fooled.
Yeah.
And that is 100% true across the board about anything. It's really difficult now, I think, for people to have those critical thinking skills because we've been constantly being groomed ourselves from birth by getting information shoved down our throats. And we're being told what the answers are instead of finding the answers for ourselves. If I want an answer, I just go to Google. Well, what if Google is guiding me? Or what if I go to my mentor and my mentor is guiding me in a direction? The answer that they give you might push you in a certain direction. And so I think that that's what people fail to see. I think at the end of the day, especially with martial arts, since that's a context, people are people. People are going to always be people, no matter what their title, job, creed, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So we could all be taken advantage of.
Yeah. I've had that conversation with several people. We don't necessarily see eye to eye. You know, when I say several people, these are people that I trained with, and then I'm saying, like, you don't see the grooming of the adult, of the conversating on Instagram, talking after class. Oh, I see the open door there. Hey, would you like to get together for to have a drink? And then it turns into something that,
and I mean,
again, and it's an adult, and it's not legal. It's not, it may not be morally correct. It's not illegal. I do believe that I find that morally, it is bad morally. How would I say that? I find that, yes, he's only done something that is morally incorrect. But I do find that as a coach and someone that I want to teach, if I was going to send a friend, a family member, a kid, or even a woman, an adult, I think I'm not going to send you to the gym where I know that that's happening. Like, I would feel like I need to tell you that. I would need, just like we're saying, hey, that guy was a pedophile, and that the example used before, and then he didn't tell anybody, and you're saying, no, he did tell the coach, right? If you decide to go there, that's great. But I feel the need that I should tell you that I believe that this bad thing is going on. Watch out for this. And then if you still decide to go there, then you go there. Or if you're going there currently and now you know and you don't leave, okay, that's a choice you're making, but you have the information now. And then you can make that choice. Is this bad enough that I don't want to be here? Or if it's like, hey, well, he didn't really do anything illegal, so.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to the individual, especially as a consumer, where they want to spend their money. Like, there are certain people who will boycott an entire company because they made a certain action or they made a certain statement, and they're never going to give them money again. Meanwhile, that company is still making billions of dollars every year because they are selling a product, and no one might not care about that certain thing they said or political affiliation or whatever the case may be. So obviously the consumer has the right to buy and consume whatever they'd like, products, services, whatever the case may be. I do think that transparency is important, especially when you're talking about people in positions of power. I think that's where things change. If I'm buying, like, let's say some Starbucks, and Starbucks makes a poor decision, well, that's on me to make my own decisions about if I feel ethically correct to continue to give them money. But then again, that cup of coffee or that barista isn't in a position of power over me. I walk up, I buy the coffee, and then I piss off, right? That's it. And if the coffee sucks, I stop buying it. That's how I usually work. I'm sure that there are companies that have donated to all kinds of things I might not agree with, but I don't know about it. So at the end of the day, I move on. I have my blinders on just like everybody else because I'm human, right? But if the coffee sucks, I stop giving you money. Well, I think that that's okay. I think you can get away with that with goods and services, or with goods. I think it's different with a service because now we're talking about somebody who is in a position of power over you. Martial arts, as soon as you walk in the door, the reason you walked in the door was because you knew that person can beat you up. It's why I'm paying you money. I'm like, I suck at fighting. You don't suck at fighting. So clearly you can beat me up. And I would never pay a martial arts instructor who I could just beat up unless, they were like, old man in the wood kind of thing. Like, maybe you can't beat me up, but you've seen some things, right?
Yeah.
So I think that when you walk in, it automatically creates a weird dynamic. There are already rules in place. Almost every martial arts studio has a certain creed of code of conduct, like even no shoes on the mat. Well, they're controlling what you can and cannot do in that facility. But that's any business, right? But then we start to add in things that are a little different, right? I'll give you an example. Christianity and martial arts are really similar. real similar. And I'll give you an example. Let's say I walk into a martial arts studio, right? I might bow at the door or I might bow at the mat, right? Pretty standard. That's not weird. If I walk into a Catholic mass, I walk up, there might be a bowl of holy water there and I might boop, 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 or I might not. Or I get to the pew, I might take a knee and do the same thing. Or I might do both. Well, that's funny because isn't that just like the bowing thing? And then when I walk in, everyone's on one side of the room and there's one person who's the leader at the altar who is talking and they're giving a lesson in something. Well, in religion, it's spirituality, I hope, right?
Yeah.
And it would be weird if he's giving me like a potato salad recipe, right? But he's giving his sermon. In martial arts, that person is at the front of the room. They're teaching and they're showing us a lesson. It just happens to be a different one. It's martial arts. Then it gets even weirder. When you look behind the preacher in a Catholic mass, there's typically a statue, stained glass, or a giant photo of Jesus Christ, right? If you go to almost any martial arts studio, what's right behind them on the wall usually?
Their coach or Elio
What?
Gracie.
That's wild. There's a photo of a guy who we just kind of bowed to a second ago. That's super strange. So then you continue down that path, right? Now at the end of almost any martial arts class that I've ever been to, there's usually a point in the class where you shake everybody's hand. Hey, man, good job. Awesome, right? Well, there's a part in Catholic Mass where you stand up and you start looking around the room. Peace be with you. Hey, you too, brother. Isn't it weird how they're very similar, right? When you walk in,
things together.
When you walk into a martial arts studio, there's a uniform, typically. This is what we're representing. When you walk into a Catholic Mass, you know what you usually don't see? A bunch of people dressed up like homeless people, right? There's a certain decorum, a certain attire you should wear there, right? Well, that's weird because that's very similar to martial arts. When I go into a martial arts studio, there's a certain attire I'm expected to wear. And if you get into certain religions, the preacher is dressed very specifically. Well, in martial arts, what would you specifically wear if you were in charge? What's that thing that goes around your waist? Oh, yeah, your black belt. The only difference is there's a little bit more separation when you start looking into martial arts because now we have a hierarchy. What else has hierarchy? Religion has hierarchy. Isn't that crazy? Like, at the end of the day, they're so similar. I think the only difference to me, what makes a martial art, a religion, and a cult different, the only thing in my opinion, I'm not saying the definition of, I'm just saying in my opinion, the only difference between a religion, a martial art, and a cult is what the goal of the leader is. The goal of a good religious leader is to teach you about spirituality and that religion and to give you that. Goal of a martial arts instructor is to teach you that martial art and to give you that. The goal of a cult is to take from you. They're going to take and take and take, and you're going to think it's the best thing in the world for you, even if everybody else tells you it's bad. But at the end of the day, martial arts is for you, the consumer. Religion is for you. Cult is for the leader. So if you ever go into a martial arts studio, you start looking around the room, right? Yeah, you might see a lot of similarities between religion and martial arts, and that's okay because both of those mean the leader cares about you. But the moment it's all about the leader, hey, you're not allowed to train anywhere else but here. Who does that benefit? It doesn't benefit the consumer. You're only going to get better by going to train at other facilities. But the moment they tell you how you can and can't act outside of that facility, I'm going to give you the finger, and then I'm going to go do it anyway because you're a cult leader. You're now leading a cult. And that old school mafioso Brazilian jiu-jitsu, oh, you only train with us. You train over there. You train here. Then how about you kiss my ass? Because I pay you as a consumer. I pay you for a service. That's it. Anything else I get out of this, whether it be weight loss, whether it be maybe even guidance emotionally, spiritually, whatever else I get is supplemental. The deal is not on that contract. And I guarantee you when you look at your martial arts contract, it's never going to say not allowed to ever train at any other facility ever. And if it does, don't sign it because that'd be weird. But anyway.
I've never signed an agreement.
You've never signed a contract for a martial arts?
I've never signed a contract for martial arts.
Wow. You are a diamond in the rough, my friend.
In my third academy, and I've only signed the release.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild to me.
I mean, I don't know if it's just a South Florida thing or I mean, I've been very localized in my area. It's been all like within just a few miles of Coral Springs.
Yeah, that's wild, dude. Yeah, I've never.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there are month-to-month programs out there, and I know that kind of stuff. But yeah, like it's a shame to see so many martial arts studios close. Like they put the business side on the back end, and I guess just because of McDojoLife and calling out so many frauds and seeing the pitfalls in the industry from that side, a lot of martial arts academies, I think, would do better, not only for their students, but I think also for business practices if they treat it like a business and not a hobby. Because if you treat your business like a hobby, it's going to become your hobby again.
Yeah.
Like if you treat your hobby like a business, it'll grow into a business.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, because there's no regulatory body, right? If I was running a business, I would require background checks because I want to know what my staff is doing. If I'm running a hobby, I won't do that. So just expect if you don't treat it seriously and you treat it like a hobby, you're probably going to close eventually because you're probably not doing all the other things. And that's such a day one thing.
Yeah.
Like I had not an academy, but I was teaching after school programs, martial arts when I was younger. And I went to a place called Bowles. And Bowles is like top tier, one of the best private schools in the country. Like their swimming coach is like an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
Like top tier, right? So I went in and I thought I was going to be doing an interview. And as soon as I walked in, I'm thinking I'm going to sit down. We're going to have a conversation, that kind of thing. They literally handed me paperwork and it was for a drug test and for me to get my background check taken care of. Like that was it. Day one. Before I've even interviewed, they were like, take care of this because they're not even going to talk to me unless I pass both of those, which I'm really glad I didn't smoke weed for like a month. But, you know, like it was one of those things. Like I didn't know they were going to do that, but that's their checks and balances. Safety was above everything. And you might have coaches like safety above all. Like, do you do background checks? No. Then how safe could you possibly be?
Yeah. All right. You did you still consult? Do you still consult with gyms?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right?
I love it.
So if somebody wanted a gym owner, like who's your ideal, like in my world, I would say, who's your ideal referral? Like who do you want me to send your way? Like any gym owner that's looking for some help with structure. You advocate, I recall, and you were saying it now, I believe, like they should have a contract. They should be.
I do. Right? I absolutely advocate. Because like, let's say I'm doing a budget, right? How do you know how much money you're getting next month? If you're doing month to month, you're guessing and hoping. Like when you do contracts, and the thing about contracts is I think people misunderstand how a contract works. Like a contract, like you've probably heard it before, is only as good as the paper it's written on.
Sure.
But like the truth is that most contracts, you have clauses that are like 30 to 60 days out. So you say, hey, if you want to cancel at any time, just give us a 30 days notice. Well, now I know next month I have X amount of dollars coming in still, but the month after that I don't. So it gives me a month buffer to take that money from that client, turn that back around into advertising dollars to get new leads so I can get more people in the door to recoup from the loss. Month to month, you don't do that. They just stop showing up and you're like, how come 12 people left? Like if you had 12 people give you a month's notice, well, that gives you one more shot to go ahead and put that money back into lead generation. Also, it allows you to get them to sign off on your rules and policies. So like you said, you've been to so many places where you sign the waiver. That's one policy. Yeah. Like you haven't agreed to anything else.
No.
So like if you're, for instance, most people don't even know that or most people don't think about this, but like when you do that, you are allowed at that moment to lay out everything and you can have them initial by every policy you have. Like, hey, just so you know, I don't know if you know this, but since you're in the military, you get a discount, but also because you're in the military or law enforcement, if you get deployed or sent somewhere for an extended period of time, we'll actually put you on hold so you don't have to keep paying that. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, of course you didn't, because if I've never made you sign this contract, we probably would have never had that conversation because it's month to month. So what are you going to do? You're just going to quit. I'm not coming back. Like, hey, no, we'll put you on hold. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. They go overseas. They come back. Hey, you're still waiting on them. Or how about if you reasons to leave? Usually when you give your consumer the reasons that they can get out of their contract ahead of time, like, hey, it's 30 days, 60 days notice to get out, right? Just give us those warnings and then maybe even an exit letter, which I like because that lets you know what you're doing wrong as a company. But the other thing is, what if you need to stop right now? Well, what are those things? Like if you get injured, and of course you can stop. Like I'm just letting you know we're here for you. Like if you wind up having like a hardship, financial hardship, hey, you lost your job. Of course you don't have to wait 60 days. We got you, right? But if you lay that out, what happens now is the consumer now knows you give a damn about them. Like, hey, these are all the reasons that if anything happens, we're just going to let you out of it, right? And I think that that's step one of running a good martial arts studio is give a damn about your consumer. If I just go, yeah, just pay whenever you pay. If you walked into any business ever and they waved you off like that, you probably never coming back. Like, if you walked into a pizzeria and they're like, yeah, we'll get right with you. They don't give a damn about your business. But if you had a guy walk up to you and say, hey, why don't you come here, have a seat? My name's Rob. Nice to meet you. Let's talk for a second. What is it that you guys are looking for? You're going to dine in, take out? Well, hey, this person cares about me. But if I said, yeah, sign the waiver, get on the mat, that person doesn't care about you. Yeah. Like, and when the business closes, you know why? Because they never took those extra 5 minutes to give a damn about you, and you should.
Yeah. And you're making me think a lot about my own business because I don't do contracts. On my marketing services. I don't do contracts only because I found that it was a barrier to entry for some companies. Like, I don't want to sign a 3, 6, 12 month. So I just haven't done it. And people have told me, like, you really should do the contract, like business attorneys and things like that. Like, you really should do it. I say, we're taking out a step for a salesperson to bring somebody on board.
Yeah. Like, well, let's just apply that to other things, right? Yeah. Taking out steps. Sometimes taking out a step is a necessary step. So, like, let's say I went on a roller coaster. Well, one of the steps is I'm going to go over all the rules and regulations for you about what you can and cannot do on this roller coaster. Hey, guys, so we're just going to skip all that. Don't worry about it. And someone stands up in your roller coaster. Yeah. Well, you didn't tell them not to. So guess who gets sued? Like, hey, guys, normally this is the part where I tell you to keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle, but there's other stuff in there, pregnancy, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Don't worry about it. Like, I'm sure you guys can read. Like, we don't need to go. Like, you should, because I think what it winds up doing is it shows a level of professionalism. But I think what it also does is it lets you and the consumer know where you stand. Sure. Like, another thing that it also does is it gives you more opportunities to show that you care. For instance, in a month-to-month contract, someone doesn't show up. When do you know that they haven't shown up? Like, you have none of their real information. Maybe you have it on the waiver. Did it get input into a system? And if it's input into a system, how well is that system? So for me, if I use a CRM system, Mind Body, Rainmaker, Perfect Mind, etc., what it winds up doing is now it's in there and it alerts me. But it doesn't just alert me. It lets me know what's going on with that particular student. So yeah, when you have like 10 students, maybe you can get away with that, like on a smaller scale. What happens when you have like 1,000? Like, do you know everybody's name in there? Probably not. You might try, but you might not. Do you know everybody's birthday there? Do you know everybody's like billing cycle? Like, you hope, but unless they're input into your system, you don't know. You're hoping. And then at that point, maybe it's manual. But like, for instance, one of my favorite things to tell people is they go, well, what happens if somebody hasn't paid me? Like, they haven't paid me for a month. They haven't paid me for 2 months, 3 months, right? Well, that starts typically with attendance. So if they haven't shown up in a week and I haven't called them until they owe me money, what does that say about me? Do I really care about the student? I don't give a damn about the student. That phone call says I care about your money. Like, you haven't paid me, pay me. Like, not how you been? I haven't seen you in like a month. Are you okay? Like, that should be your initial phone calls. And they call them 246 calls, which is 2 weeks out. If someone hasn't shown up, you should call them. Hey, man, just checking in on you, Steve. I didn't see you last week. I just want to make sure you're okay. Nothing about money, because money isn't even in the conversation yet. Then the next one's 4. Yeah, most likely at that point, they probably haven't paid you, but I won't even mention money then. Hey, man, it's been a month. Like, I'm really concerned. Just let me know you're okay, right? Now, then you start getting into 6. Well, now they almost guaranteed to have not paid you for a month. And even if they haven't, I still don't mention the money. Hey, man, it's been 6 weeks, man. Please let me know you're okay. That's all I care about, because my goal, again, give a damn about the student. Once you get to 8, that's when you can actually leverage and use that money to help your student, because they might be in a financial hardship. They just didn't want to tell you about it. Well, we already know the clause, which is, hey, if you have a financial hardship, you can just get out of this. But maybe they haven't shown up for 2 months and you haven't heard from them, but they keep paying you. Well, now we have an even bigger issue, because now they might actually be hurt. They might be going through something major, and that is the farthest thing from their mind. So what I do as a good martial arts school owner is I say, hey, man, like, I noticed you haven't been here for 2 months. You owe us 2 months pay. We're concerned. What we're going to do is we're going to wipe away all of that debt. You won't owe us a dime. Just come back in and train. That's all I'm asking you to do. Come back in and train. If you want, you can re-up with us. just re-sign, and you won't owe anything when you start. No sign-up fee, none of that. Just re-up with us, and I'll wipe away all of that debt. And what that does now is it leaves the debt collectors out of the situation. I don't need a debt collector. I need a student. I need somebody to learn this art. Like, I need you to give a damn. You had goals when you walked in the door, right? My job is to get you to that goal. The only way I can get you there is if you show up. But if all I do is like, hey, you missed a payment this month, they're just never going to call you back. What is the obligation here? They just disappear. Bye.
What is the biggest mistake that you see gym owners make, other than the contracts? Outside of that, is there anything that's like, this just stands out? All of these gym owners, everyone's not doing this.
They forget that they were a white belt. I know that might sound cheesy, okay, but like if you've never done martial arts before, the first thing you have to do is realize you've never done martial arts before. Like step one, right? And they have what they call the 4 stages of learning, which is like unconscious incompetence. So you don't know something. So a child doesn't know how to drive a car because it's never seen a car. Doesn't even know a car exists, right? But then you see the car, so you know that someone's operating the vehicle. So now you have conscious incompetence. I don't know how to do something. Then you have conscious competence. I'm learning how to do the thing. I'm not great at it. I have to continue to think about it as I do it, but I have a better understanding. And then, of course, as you grow into the martial arts industry, you have unconscious competence, which means you just do it. Like tying your shoes or driving a car. You just do it. You don't have to check my 10 and 2s, right? You just do the thing. As a white belt in martial arts, the first thing you do is unconscious incompetence. I don't know martial arts. But most people aren't there. Most people as adults know, I don't know how to do something. So now we're in conscious incompetence. So what do I do to fix that? I seek out someone who does know how to do it. When martial arts school owners open a martial arts school, they assume because they know how to kick and punch, they know how to run a business. These are not the same things.
Yeah.
And so just because you're a good coach, just because you can teach people well, just because you're charismatic, does not mean you will run a successful business. So what most martial arts school owners do is, I've been doing martial arts my entire life. I'm going to open up a school. How many businesses have you run? Well, none, but I know this business. Like, no, you don't. You're assuming that you know that. So you're lying to yourself to skip a step, which is conscious incompetence. You cannot skip that step. You have to be conscious you don't know something. And that's okay. But then that moves you into the next step, which is now I have conscious competence. I have to think about it, but I'm learning and I'm getting better. Most martial arts studio owners never once try to go out to get consulting. They never try to take a business class. They never try to learn how to run books, paperwork, learn a new program. They're just stuck in their ways. And whatever their instructor did is exactly how they do it. Well, times are changing.
Yeah.
Things are moving and always evolving, just like martial arts. So I'll see martial arts business owners, like owners, they'll spend thousands of dollars at like bjjfanatics.com, buy all of those instructionals, right? But not one time did they ever take the time to buy a book on business, take a business seminar, try to go learn from somebody specifically in the industry about like a business leadership course. Nothing. They'll just ignore that part like it doesn't exist. And then martial arts school owners love to treat money like a bad thing. Like, oh my God, like you charge too much. Who invented that crap? I guarantee you it's the broke dude who doesn't have new equipment. I guarantee you it's the broke dude who doesn't actually take the time to give a damn about his students, because if you did care, making that money allows you to help other people. That money helps you advertise to more people. That money makes sure that you can pay your bills, so that way you can dedicate more time to martial arts and not have 2 jobs, which is a lot of martial arts school owners. They'll have a day job and they'll have their school, and they don't care if the school makes money or not. Well, if it was financially viable, wouldn't you be able to spend more time doing it?
Yeah.
And then you have the money, you can do more pro bono work. So now you can give away free martial arts classes because you can pay your bills. So you can have as many free people in as you want, as long as your bills are being taken care of. But how many of those people are you going to help when you work the 9 to 5, then you work at your martial arts studio, then you sleep, and then just keep doing that? I mean, you got to treat it like a business, and you have to understand that it's okay not to know something. What's not okay is to stare at it and pretend that you do.
Yeah. That's crazy. I'm obviously, again, I don't own a gym, but some of the stuff that you're saying resonates with, just running a business, period, right?
Yeah. I mean,
what we're doing with Academy Safe, and, my day job as, running a marketing company, running Black Belt.
It's a lot of work, man.
man.
And like it should be.
I learn
work.
something new every day still. I mean, whether it's something changing on Google or, something changes on the CRM or just something business wise that we need to implement. Like right now we're going through a lot of stuff with like AI. How does AI, I didn't really think, I was just like AI, I looked at AI as the competitor, right? AI can do some of the, could our clients automate some of the things that we do? And the answer is maybe, or it's coming, we're getting there. But then our CRM started to use AI and automate it on our end. So the thing that we're offering to clients, hey, we've got it automated. Don't worry. We've got certain aspects of that. And now we're taking it a step further and saying, okay, what other functions that we do can we integrate with our CRM? What things that we do on a daily tasks, are there programs out there that exist that can tie into our CRM? And I don't know if you ever heard of Zapier. Zapier is like kind of like an integration, like so an outside software or company using Zapier will help you integrate it to your CRM. So two different companies that don't know anything about each other could integrate using this thing called Zapier.
That's pretty cool.
So our CRM pushes that. And so now I have, I hired somebody as our national sales director, but he's also like a liaison with our CRM. So like, yeah, you're doing sales and you're going to manage the sales team, but I also want you to work with our CRM and figure out what other things we can be automating on not only the sales side, but also what we call the production side or the delivery of what we're selling, which a lot of times is like local SEO, Google Ads, things like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's happening. Like, again, there's AI out there, but I looked at it initially as a competitor and I'm like, oh no, wow, it's making our lives easier from, writing and answering reviews and, okay, again, what else can we automate that we do out there? So you have to kind of be open to that change. In my mind, not that I was closed off to it, but I was like, yeah, everybody's looking at that as the competitor too. Like I know people that have just completely gotten out of like the content creation field because you can write 10 blogs in 10 minutes, not even just using ChatGPT right now. Right. Like, so certain things like that, or something that you would use somebody that was, a content creator or a creative writer, they just can't survive, whether it's the right thing to do or not, or, the SEO aspects of like putting out blogs that are written by ChatGPT.
Well, I would
people
think,
are just like, their business has been completely turned upside down. And basically all those content creators are becoming social media, like managers now.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
They have to shift.
I guess I just don't view it that way. I can understand why they would. It's like a decision, like a crossroads, right? But like you're saying, you're realizing it's more of a tool. Yeah. And it's not necessarily just a competitor. It can compete against you, but it's not really that. But like the thing about being a content creator and influencer is the product that you're selling is you. So being genuinely yourself all the time is all people want. It doesn't matter what you're selling. So like there'll never be a AI to do that. Maybe they could be a caricature of you. It could try to break you down and process what they think that you are. But the thing that people are buying in terms of like influencers are the genuineness of who they are. And I think that, when you see influencers get into these like online spats against each other, always cracks me up. But you'll see influencers who will completely stop doing it because they have like a scandal. Something happened. It's like, why? Like, you're human. Like, if anybody didn't think that you were human when you started, like, they are not very intelligent. Like, you're a human, so that means you're going to have flaws. You're going to have trials and tribulations. You're going to make missteps. All of that is okay. And yeah, there might be like people out there who say that that's not, but that's the spice. That's what makes you always marketable, is your humanality. So like whenever an influencer is like, oh my God, like I saw one the other day, this guy's got like millions of followers and he was drunk in a public area and he acted a fool. Is he always that way? No. Did he make a mistake? Absolutely. And then you could see just like during that time, it's like a 4-year gap before he made content again. Like, why? Like, you are a person. Like, all those people, like, I guarantee you we have things in our lives that weren't on camera that like a handful of people know about, and you probably still hang out with those people. They didn't just like shun you and like, oh my God, we're never going to talk to this person again, because they know you're human. You're going to make mistakes. So like, I think that influencers need to lean into that. Like, it's okay for you to make a mistake. And if people don't like it, they can tell them to bite you. Like, who cares? Like, all these people who were judging you are people who were behind these nameless, faceless profiles. Like, who gives a damn? Like when I play Grand Theft Auto, I don't care that the game cussed me out because that's not real. Those are fantasies. Those are NPC characters. They were programmed to say that. Well, these people who were talking online, they're still faceless. They're still nameless. I don't know them personally. They don't know me personally. They're just as good as NPCs on a video game.
Yeah.
Like, you can't let any of that bother you and stop you from being you. And you can't let technology tell you that being yourself is not good enough. Like, it's the only thing that has real true value.
We were talking before about how you're really good at, I see it just from commenting or sharing. You're really like Johnny on the spot with like communicating with people. If somebody comments, you comment right away. But you do occasionally not have to, but maybe get into it with somebody that's commenting and maybe correct them, or let's say put somebody in their place maybe.
It just depends on whatever it is, yeah.
How far, at what point are you, I'm just going to stop here because this person is just obviously so set in their ways. Does that happen?
Yeah, of course.
Where you're going back and forth and then it's just like, not I give up, but this person is just not willing to see another point of view. They're so stuck in this view.
Well, I think it's more like the goal of what I'm trying to do is try to inform.
Mm-hmm.
That's my goal. So if I see somebody who is very ill-informed, my goal is to try and inform. So I'll engage. If they're being an ass, the reason I'm engaging is different. Like every person is case to case, but usually I give myself three comments. They say something, I say something. They say something, I say something. And by that time, if I see that this is just like a negative exchange, I poke them a few times on purpose, then I restrict them, and then I back up, and I never have to hear from them again. And it's almost always, I'll say 99.9999% of the time, what winds up happening is I'm right that they are going to be an ass later on. Because with restricted comments, they're talking to themselves. And to them, it's right there for everybody to see, which is hilarious.
Oh, so it doesn't even show on the
they
feed
think
anymore?
they've made comments. Oh, yeah, it's great. But then I'll be scrolling down. I'll be like, oh, this is a restricted comment. Let me see what they had to say.
Oh, you can see that.
And then I click on it, and I can decide whether or not to approve it. So I click on it, and I'm like, yep, that's why I restricted that person.
Yeah.
That guy's a douche. And then I move on with life, and I think it's funny because they can't help but continue to engage. But what if I'm wrong? Well, the restrict allows me to see if they had a moment that we all do. They just had a day or a moment or misinterpretation of language. So I'll see what they said, and I'll be like, oh, okay, approved, unrestricted. Like, they never know that they were or were not.
Yeah.
And that shit is so funny to me. Like, especially when you get them riled up.
Because they're over there just tapping away or typing away.
I can't stand what you had to say. And meanwhile,
take that, McDojoLife.
I'll be honest. I was probably high when I was writing you back. Like, I'm floating in my pool like, yep, that wasn't nice. Here's what I have to say. Oh, he's being real mean. Let's poke him one more time. All right, restricted.
Yeah.
And then like I'll just come back and I can see all the people. I can see all these people like just ripping into that dude, and he is just responding to everybody. And I'm like, no one can hear what you're saying, bro.
I think most people at this point know that as long as you're not being super nasty, like go ahead and comment and be stupid. If you don't like what I just posted, you're only helping it be seen by more people by going in and commenting and then starting a conversation in the feed that winds up making that post more popular and maybe suggested, by the platform.
It's just helping the numbers. Like, it is sad. Like I find those kind of people, there's something sad there.
Yeah.
Because that person is choosing, they could be anyone they want. Like you're an avatar. Like when you go online, like you see the differences in people. Like people typically try to put their best foot forward. Like, so if it's an unrestricted account or like a unblocked or an open account where anybody could see what they're doing, right? Not closed off like, oh, I got to friend them in order to see what they have. But it's just an open account. Those people are usually putting out the best in themselves, like the best photo with the best filter, and they're hanging out at these cool places and they're showing these beautiful sights or they're talking about things that are positive. Those people are putting that version of themselves out because that's what they want to feel. They want to feel this positivity and they want to feel good, and they don't necessarily want people to comment negatively. If they did, they would say vile things. But the people who wind up having those blocked accounts or those restricted closed access accounts, those people usually are the ones that have the loudest opinion. Like the most private profiles are usually the ones with the most public opinions. The people who are representing themselves, like genuinely, I'm representing me, Steve McMasterson of Phoenix, Arizona. Like that kind of person is usually saying something that's not really vile or venomous.
You just blew up every Steve McMaster, whoever.
He's like, what the hell?
IG, yeah. I was like, well, McDojo, what's that?
I'm not even from Phoenix.
There's some grandpa that's going to get tons of messages.
Dear McDojoLife. But yeah, like, but those people typically are trying to put a good foot
Sorry,
forward.
Steve.
They have nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide from. But the people who are hiding, those are usually the people who are doing it to get stuff off their chest.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel bad for them. Because imagine being somebody who's like 45 years old and you have 7 different accounts and each one of them has no profile picture. You're not showing the world yourself at all. So you're even isolating yourself from the world, literally.
Yeah.
And you're that lonely. You have to make that many accounts. And in order to get some type of feel, to feel something,
Yeah.
you feel like you have to attack people that you've never met. And like you do it with such vile venom. Like I had a guy who he made posts and he was talking about like how he's kind of talking out of his ass, to be honest. Like he was talking about rules in MMA that weren't true. And he was talking about like how he could beat almost anybody up. And I felt bad for the guy because the dude was talking about things that weren't true. And on my page, that's the whole point, is to talk about these things in a very open, transparent way so that way people can make better informed decisions in the martial arts industry. So while he was doing that, I made some posts about the things he was wrong about. When I did this, he took it so personally that he made over 65 accounts on YouTube. 65. Where he was just going, make a new account, leave a comment. Make a new account, leave a comment. Make a new account, leave a comment. Like, that's on YouTube. Like, I'm pretty sure that in order to do that, like, you have to, that's very purposeful. That takes a lot of time and effort and energy out of your day. And I offered, like, hey, let's have a live conversation. We could talk about whatever's bothering you. Refused. Then he tried to say that he wasn't the person. Like, yes, I can clearly see that you are the person making these accounts. And so I don't know whether that is a mental health issue. But
Yes, it is.
it feels like it. But at the end of the day, that's like one person doing that. Now imagine how many other people on the planet right now have their regular account, their day-to-day, like Susie Homemaker, like I'm Blue Collar Guy, whatever. And then imagine the extra accounts that they have so that way they can get that all off their chest without anyone knowing it was them.
Yeah.
I think that that's a sad state of affairs that we're living in, is that people feel the need to hide themselves from the world just so they can say what's on their mind. I think those people they just need a fucking hug.
I was going to say
a hug. Like, hey, if you're out there and you want to talk to me, I will talk live to anyone. Anyone. I go live often when I'm not restricted on YouTube. You can join me live. Anyone can join me live and we'll have a conversation about whatever you want. I could care less what it is. And if you want to take that time to cuss me out, you're more than welcome to do so. But do it with your face. Like, I have scars all over my face. I do not hide it. Like, at the end of the day, I'm me, and that's it. People accept it or they don't. If you want to be that person, just don't hide who that is. Because by hiding that from the world, all you're doing is you're self-isolating, and you're making it worse. And all you're going to do is keep doing it until you get caught. And then somebody's going to get a hold of you, and that will suck for you, I promise.
Yeah.
So,
I've been living by this mantra statement. I believe it's not political, but I believe it was the Obamas had said this when they were in the White House. Believe somebody when they tell you who they are. And it's kind of, I don't want to say freeing, but it helps eliminate people from your life pretty quickly. Or at least you don't have to eliminate, let's not use that word. Let's just say, as long as I know who you are, like I could still be friends with you, but know that I know. Know that I know who you are deep down, like whether it's somebody that, you tell a secret to and then they go tell somebody, because it's, hey, don't tell anybody this, Rob. And then you hear it from somebody and you're like, I only told, nobody else knows about that but Rob. So obviously he said something. But
like
I try
that
to
time you had in Tijuana.
Yeah. Well, when, it's, you encounter so many people, especially like in this side of what we're doing here with Academy Safe and obviously McDojo, everybody's got an opinion. And, I've listened to people on both sides of the argument, like, yeah, that's good. Do what you're doing. And then there's people like, hey man, do you really want to fry this guy for, doing something that's not illegal? And I'm like, okay. But, some of those conversations, and again, it's not necessarily bad, but okay, I'm believing you that that's who you say you want to be. I'm telling you who I want to be. I'm like, I really want to be this person who helps change this. And I don't think that I should just put up with it because it wasn't that bad. I don't, and I'm not mocking anybody who said that to me. I don't mean it that way, but I'm like, I'm being dramatic for effect. I can understand that. I can understand the point of view, and that's who I can understand both sides of an argument, even if I really, truly believe in my side. But I will believe you when you tell me who you are. And if that's who you are, maybe we're not going to be able to be as close, or, when it's online and people, say, again, who don't necessarily hide behind a profile, but say stupid things, I'm like, yeah, maybe that's not the best guest to have on the show next week.
And I mean, over the years, like, I think when it comes to Academy Safe, the one thing that I like most about it is the fact that it's not guesswork. These are factual things that people can look at, and that's it. It's not, I think this is morally wrong or this is that. It has nothing to do with personal ethics at all.
We're being proactive here.
Absolutely.
We're not being reactive to this happened in this gym and we want to, put this information out. We're saying before you choose an academy, look at these things. Right?
And the best way to predict future behavior is to look into past behaviors. And the best way to stop bad behaviors is education.
Yeah.
Period. So if we're able to get that information out there, do I think that fight sports is all of a sudden going to shut down because of all the stuff that happened with them? No, I don't. Do I think people will still give them money? Absolutely. Are there going to be people out there who might find it ethically or morally wrong, some of the things that happen there? Absolutely. And that is their decision to make. But we can say, hey, the people who are there now, local federally background checked? And if they go no, then the consumer can ask why. And that's a powerful thing. What I'm worried about, and something that I've been advocating for a long time, is governments, when they start putting in certain policies, sometimes can overreach. And that's what people have constantly complained about online about this, is they were like, we don't want the government doing it. Well, if you don't want the government to do it, you should probably do it yourself.
Donate now.
Help
us now.
What do you where do you think this road leads? Yeah. Like, again, think about like what happens like with the diaphragm bill.
Okay.
The diaphragm bill, or the diaphragm law, whatever you want to call it, in New York, where they told police officers you cannot apprehend an assailant by putting pressure on their diaphragm. You can't mount, knee on belly, side control, bear hug from the front or the back, or north-south. You cannot put pressure on their diaphragm.
You can't even mount them from the back.
Can't mount them from the back.
Down,
no back mount, nothing. Right? But you can shoot them. You can taser them. You could punch them. You can hit them with your car. You can drop kick them if necessary. So you can still use those forces, but don't sit on them. That is the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. And when I saw that Aikido crap video that came out, we're like, this is how we apprehend an assailant. Good luck with that. Yeah. Like, they literally took away the safest ways to apprehend somebody and left the most dangerous ones.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you have people who are not educated in a certain field trying to regulate a certain field. I think with us, it allows people who are in the industry to look at facts, not opinions, and be able to make their own decisions as consumers. If you want to run your academy without any background checks, if you want to run your academy with no CPR first aid certification, no defibrillators on site, no cameras in the facility, no SafeSport, if you don't want to do any of that, you don't have to. But the consumer now has a place they can go and go, you know what? I would like these things. Who has them? Oh, look at that. There's a list. And all of these studios have them. But Steve's Martial Arts and Chinese Food Emporium, they don't have it. So guess what? I'm not going to go to as a consumer. I'm not going to go to them.
Yeah.
I now have a more informed, educated decision I can make because I can look clearly at what they are doing and what they're not. That's it. And I think that if studios don't catch up to this, what's going to wind up happening is one or two things. One, government will step in and they will start regulating the shit out of you. Be prepared. Because if I am doing stories about 2 or 3 times on average a week of martial arts instructors who are molesting kids, how long do you think that process is going to go before someone steps in to tell you what you can and cannot do?
You know, my girls that are doing the social media, my girls, when I say my girls, literally my daughter and her half-sister, They work for my company, and they're the ones handling the social media, not only for Black Belt and for Academy Safe. And I had to have a conversation with them. I said, listen, this could be a little dark sometimes. So no. And they're like, we got this. We're good. And they went to some of the websites that you suggested, and simply just in some cases did a Google search for like sexual assault, martial arts. Just use those keywords. And it was super. Hey, that's your hey, did you do that with your mind?
I did that with my
Is
chi.
that your chi?
This is a good opportunity to mention my book I wrote. You're welcome. Since you can get that on Amazon.
Where they can get it. There you go.
Bam. Amazon. Let me just try to get the shinies out of there.
You just disproved. Chi.
I don't like to brag about my chi powers. I just like to casually every once in a while toss them out there.
How do I shut this guy up? Let me hit him with my book.
But what you're saying is absolutely right. Like I started when I started McDojoLife, and going down that path, I didn't know how dark it would be. I didn't understand the scope of the industry and how little regulation there was, like none. So because I didn't know that, I wasn't aware that there were so many cases. I did a YouTube video. It's an hour and a half long, and that YouTube video is made up of like 15 to 30-second clips of nothing but news stories of martial arts instructors who molested children. It's an hour and a half long. Like, doesn't that say something about our industry? And it says even more to the people who don't want background checks. Like, look, if you don't want background checks, that's fine. But what exactly is it that you're hiding? Like, because a background check does not say that you do not get hired. It's not what a background check does. It just says, hey, look, this happened. Yeah. You could still, like, personally, if I'm an owner and I was like, all right, this guy's 45 years old. He's got great credentials, CPR first aid certified. Oh, there's something that happened when he was 18 here. It was like an assault and battery charge. I'd be like, that guy seems battle tested. I'm probably still going to hire that dude. Like, if he has a great track record and he had one little smudge, like, as long as it wasn't like some type of molestation, sexual assault charge, something maybe fraud, because I wouldn't necessarily want them around in a management position around money. Yeah. Like that, but that's my decision. Yeah. Like, it doesn't say that your instructor doesn't have to hire you. So I think that it's just a step. Does it stop everything? Absolutely not. Right. But does it help? Hell yeah, it does.
Going back to the diaphragm bill, I was going to say, what's like the one, I don't want to say universal, but what is the one move that we know can stop any spazzy white belt?
Rear naked choke?
Non-submission.
Oh, mount.
Mount.
Back mount.
Like start, and a lot of times we mount after like a nice neon belly.
Yeah, neon belly.
Nice neon belly. Give them a little pain, and it, but it's like, it usually makes them move into a way that we want them to move, because it's usually they're going to push it off, or they're going to try to turn.
If you're good at jiu-jitsu, like I think any blue belt should be able to do this to any white belt, honestly. But if you're good at jiu-jitsu, like positional dominance is always position submission or position transition submission. So if you can establish a dominant position, you can kind of wait it out. I get the side control. I like side control. I'll take side control over a mount any day. Or I also like good head and arm. If you're in a good scarf hold head and arm position, and you just kind of like, they're still freaking out a little bit, you just put a little pressure, roll them up like a tube of toothpaste a little bit.
So we've all probably called some type of scarf hold. It may not be across the neck, but this whole safe wrap system that the Henner and Hedon have developed. Any thoughts on that?
I haven't really looked much into it. I think you might have told me a little bit about it on a phone call, but I didn't really look much into it. Like, I think that any education that we can get to police officers is fantastic. I'm shocked, to be honest, that that's another thing that isn't really required. Like, police officer doesn't necessarily have to have that type of training. And it's a shame, because there's so many programs out there now that do this. Like BJJ Cops, he's actually out of Jacksonville, where I'm from. He travels and teaches seminars to
Brennan.
Brennan, He teaches these seminars. Great dude. Yeah. Like,
I went to one. Have you ever been to a seminar?
Not yet. No. He invited me to go. He actually invited me to train at his place too. So I should probably go do that. Yeah.
Very cool. I went as a brown belt. We actually used to do the graphics for him. I think I mentioned it on one of the last podcasts. We used to do the graphics for him. Every city that I went to, we'd do a graphic for him. And I went to one that he went to down here in, like, is it Hialeah? think it's highly.
He's all over, man. He travels everywhere.
Yeah, he came down. He did it with a cop that was a former Miami City police officer. We've had him on the show a couple times as well. Brendan, they came together. Brendan and I'm like horrible with names. I'm not. It's not like he's bad with names. Like I know there's something going on up here, which my recall is. I'm having a problem with recall. Maybe it's me just getting older. I'm pretty good with everything, but I have a little tiny problem with like it's on the tip of my tongue stuff.
I got you.
It actually, I got to figure that out. So when I don't remember, Freddie Trillo. See, I can do it. Freddie Trillo and Brennan De Oliveira.
That marijuana smoke.
And funny enough, I don't do any of that stuff. Like I don't hate. Like I'm not. It's nothing drug related.
I never really did it until like my 30s. Like I didn't start until I was like 33. Because I always had these bad experiences. Yeah. But I'll talk about that after. Yeah, you're making a point.
I don't know if I don't know if it's me in my own head, like, I got to remember that name, and then something in here goes, I'm not gonna let you remember that. So I don't know if I'm doing it to myself, which I kind of feel it's actually
you got like a brain gremlin up there, like blocking the thought. Good luck.
Yeah, like I literally, I ran into a friend's kid the other day, an adult child. I was walking my dog. There's a new restaurant downstairs. He was like hanging out with his friends, checking out the new building. And I've trained with his dad and him forever. And I can't remember his name. I couldn't even remember his dad, who's a friend of mine. I couldn't even remember his name. And I'm like, it's this little thing, but I think I put this own little like, I got to remember. Oh, he's right there. I'm going to say hello to him. I got to remember his name. And my brain goes, I'm not going to let you remember his name.
memory is for rich people. You don't need that.
So anyway, I'm good with everything else. Don't worry. So I don't even remember what the hell we were talking about.
We were talking about
Brennan. So just going to a class. Yeah, I went to Brennan and Freddie did. Freddie Trillo went and Brennan went to his academy and he did one, and it was great because I almost always learned more sport jiu-jitsu. Maybe my first gym, 2 years, we were learning stand-up, we were doing Muay Thai, we were doing MMA classes, so you're on your feet, take them down, finish, little ground and pound, 4-ounce gloves or whatever, the 6-ounce gloves. So I started with that, but then for the next 8 years, it was really sport jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I got you.
So it was just like, pull guard, get to the ground, let's, and really more what you would see in the competition. But going to Freddie's with Brendan doing the class there, the seminar, it was just like there's just a small jump from having a Kimura and then getting the hand behind the back, and then mounting from behind. Like they're just these little details that unless somebody shows you, you could be like, well, would I do it this way? Look, if you put the hand here and you do this, or even grabbing the hand, right? You're down, grabbing the hand and getting it back here, like. Hand comes underneath, grabs the wrist, and then brings it to the back. Like these little things that I was just never taught that I'm like, oh shit, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Basic stuff. Just if I'm not taught, it's not something I went online to look like. How do I put the handcuffs on somebody, right? Yeah. But it was super. Yeah. Yeah. She makes it a little easier for me though. Everybody got a comment now, huh? Everybody wants to be on the podcast, huh? Talk about the handcuffs in the bedroom and look at everybody. Everybody woke up. Look at Christian. Christian has been sleeping for the last 10 minutes and he woke up. All of a sudden he's like, hey guys.
Now you're talking my language.
I say handcuffs.
You want to make anything creepy, just say ladies at the end of the sentence. Now you're talking my language, ladies.
Definitely get to one of his seminars, especially out there, man. Great. It's like I said, incredibly eye-opening. I suggest it for anybody. It's never happened. I mean, I've trained in jiu-jitsu forever. I haven't had one fight since I've done jiu-jitsu. I haven't had to protect anybody. I haven't had to do anything on the streets. But, you see like a video of like somebody helping a cop, like, hey, can I help you? Like hold this guy down or something. Actually really knowing what to do. I'm like, I can actually really help this guy and do what he needs to do. The safe rap thing is interesting too, because it takes away all of what we just said with the diaphragm. Like it takes away all that stuff. They're not mounting them on the back. They're literally just getting them like this and then doing like tying up the legs as well. It is I don't know if they have a one-man version of that, but part of it is one guy has got him held here and then somebody else is tying up the legs.
Is that Henner's program?
Yeah, that's Henner and Huron's. Huron's
I'll hit him up about it and just see what's up.
So it's funny because now I'm seeing more videos of other, we've had Jiu-Jitsu 5.0, we've had BJJ Cops, we've had... There's a guy named Zen Gorilla, who's one of the owners of Gracie Austin,
Okay.
where Danaher and Gordon teach during the day, or they train part-time there still.
Okay.
I believe he's a law enforcement. We've had him on. And a lot of these guys, say, I've mentioned Henry and Huron, and then it's like, there have been a few arguments where like, well, that's great, and they're great teachers, and their jiu-jitsu is incredible, but they're not law enforcement. They don't get all of the things that lead up to that moment and what you may have gone through. Like, okay, I understand that. That's an argument that some law enforcement officers have made. So it's like, do you want to learn from people that aren't in law enforcement, or can I show you? I was on the force for 20 years, and I am a black belt, and I can show you how I would do it, knowing all of the dynamics that go into that encounter.
Yeah, for sure.
Plus, until this safe wrap, you also have to realize, like, okay, what I can teach somebody in New York City is different than what I could teach somebody in Minnesota, or what I can teach, teaching somebody in LA, because the rules of that agency are different. So understanding that, so a lot of these guys that are teaching are like coming at it from a perspective like, I did it here. I know, okay, when I go to teach you at your school, I need to understand what you're allowed and not allowed to do so that I could teach you what's right for you. But this safe wrap, basically, it takes all of those elements out, because they're not choking. It's not, any type of compression. It's not there, nothing. You're not mounting on the back. You're not mounting on the stomach. You're not, it just eliminates all those things that people complain about. And it's really just to get them to a cuffing position. And now you've got them on.
I've been able to teach a couple seminars like over the years now. Like, luckily, McDojoLife kind of gives me the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about like the next like group of seminars that I do. That's not gonna be the seminar, but I'm thinking just for giggles, just to see how it goes, I'm just gonna say that I'm doing oil check seminars, and that's like all I'm gonna teach. Like, all right, well, you're gonna get to this position, and give it the old
on an absolute. It's funny that you said that, but just by the way, Joe Scargill, we talked about, I've got to talk to my coach about it.
Did he steal my idea? Is he doing oil check
No,
seminars?
I was just going to say he's talking about coming down and doing a seminar. He's just like, I'd love next time I come down. Because cool. I think I mentioned it to you as well. It'd be great to have the three of us on.
Yeah.
And then, we've got three of the board members from Academy Safe talking about it as this thing progresses, and we can progresses and, start to give people more of an update of where we're at. And, so he said, hey, when I come down, I'd love to do a seminar at your school. I think it'd be really cool. And, he's got a wrestling background. He's, a wrestling coach as well as a black belt. And obviously just, special agent in charge of the Jacksonville office. So he's up there. Cool. So we talked about that. So again, I don't know. I think we're probably going to ask you when the next time is that you want to drive down again.
Yeah, I don't mind, man.
I mean, I know it's a crazy drive, but I really appreciate you coming all the way down.
Yeah, it's not a problem at all. Like,
so I mean, maybe we could figure. I'm hoping to say, hey, let's do it as not only him or you if you want to do a seminar, but like we could do it as an Academy Safe seminar, and then have you guys come in and teach.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to get some funding going too. I'd be happy to teach.
I did think about that. Yeah. Could we do something where we do some, hey, listen. Donate X amount of dollars to to come to the seminar.
Yeah, I do. I typically when I teach stand up. So be a nice little tandem.
Okay, yeah, it would be. I think you could do some stand up. He could do some wrestling, and I got some fun stuff that I like to do on the ground. Again, more the sports side of it. So it's just like, come to me.
No, I got you.
You seen those Simpson?
Meet your doom.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of those Simpson. Come on, right? Yeah, right. That's that Simpson meme. So last question I wanted to ask you is any updates on the movie? I know we've talked about some things. So you want to give them? You want to give everybody an update on the documentary?
Yeah, we've been. I think the weird part about filming a documentary is that it's not scripted. So it's not what people think. Like if I did a scripted film, I could like make that like there's 24-hour film festivals.
Yeah.
So like you can write a script out and make a movie and it's done. Documentaries don't work that way. Like let's say I'm documenting someone's presidency. How long do you think that's going to take to shoot? Probably not a year because I'm documenting their presidency, which could be like 4 years, right? And probably do before and after. So we're talking maybe 5 or 6 years to get that one documentary done. So like I didn't even think about how that would apply to our stuff. So half the battle is getting funding. And people are like, why don't you just ask Farouk and he'll just give you money? That's not how anyone with money works. Like it just, hey brother, can I just borrow like $500,000?
Joe's a listener.
Like,
Joe's a listener.
Work.
Hey Joe, give this guy some money. No.
Like that doesn't work that way. Like, and I try to avoid that crap at all costs. Like, I don't like asking for things. Like, I like asking for opinions and ideas, but I don't want to ask for money. That's weird.
Most uncomfortable part of doing this. I hate it.
Yeah, dude, it sucks. So, like, I wound up getting lucky, and I was having a conversation with Jocko. I think I've talked about this last time. And he was like, why didn't you ask me for money? I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. Like, apparently you can just ask. So he became an executive producer of the movie.
Sure.
So then we, over the last year, had been going back and forth with a company that wanted to give us a full ride. They were going to give us the full thing. They were going to give us all the money we asked for, help us with equipment, help us with post, which is incredible. So it would help us with our editing process, the whole shebang. And as we're negotiating, we're getting closer to money. And we start getting closer and closer. Then we got to the point where it was like, all right, let's start writing out contracts. So they sent us over this contract that was the most ridiculous shit I'd ever seen in my life. They were like, hey, man, we want full creative control. We want full business control. And, oh, by the way, we kind of want to fire everyone that you have on your team. Ugh. And I was like, how about bite me? I'm never going to give you all of that. It's never going to happen. And then they were like, well, how about if we give you a list of everything we're thinking about in terms of direction for your film beforehand, and you can sign off on that. And if you agree, then maybe we can move forward from there. I was like, that's actually
eliminates the creative control part,
I was
right?
like, all right, let me just see.
Expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see your business plan, and let me see what you plan on doing creatively. So they wind up sending it over, and we have red lines. So red line, you get the thing, and you're like, this is what we want to do, and you basically red line that out, and you either have a question or a demand. No, we're not going to do that. Yes, we're going to do this. Or why would you do that? We had to red line everything. And it was a 4-page document.
When you see a redacted thing online from the government, it's all black.
My nose wants to bleed right now from thinking about reading that paperwork. So on the paperwork, one of the things they wanted to do, they were like, you have to have something in there about absentee fatherism. And I was like, why? That is the dumbest shit. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. This has nothing to do with that. They wanted to make it super political. They want us to go through a distribution service that was extremely political distribution service. I was like, this has nothing to do with politics. If it comes up and it happens to be a part of the story, then yeah, but to force it in was weird. So, but it's really, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you or not, but when someone says, hey man, we'd like to give you $500,000, it's very hard to say no.
Every day. Every day, I got to turn them down every day.
But I'll be damned if you fire my team. They wanted to fire my entertainment lawyer. I was like, you can't fire my lawyer. He's built in. So whenever it happened though, to give them the finger right off the bat to eliminate that first thing, I made every part of my team part owner of the IP.
Okay.
So I was like, now you can't fire them. Let's keep talking. Okay. And then they kept giving us with these. I was finally, we just can't do this. So we parted ways. So then, now we're like, well, shit, that could have paid for the whole thing. It could have already been done. But it would have not been the movie at all that people wanted. It would have said McDojo on there, but I promise you it would not have been what people wanted. So now we've been having a conversation with a company called 22 Summers.
Okay.
And 22 Summers is Idris Elba's production company. Mm. And our director happened to be working on a project with their head of creative development for something else. And they were looking for more potential ideas, thoughts, IP. Mm-hmm. And then our thing came across their table. And we had 2 meetings so far. The first meeting, which was supposed to be 45 minutes, lasted an hour and a half. Second meeting, had no time. I think we were on there for 2.5 hours. Yeah. And so now we sent them over the paperwork that they requested. And then now hopefully we'll see what happens with their back and forth contract negotiations. So.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know how involved Idris Elba is, but just the fact that I know that he started training Muay Thai a while back, I think for a movie, and he actually took. Did he do it for a movie or he took a fight?
I think
he actually
did
one professional fight. But it's nice to know that at least there's somebody in the mix that understands martial arts at least a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he still trains or how long he's trained,
again,
but
it's not for stuff like that. It's his company, right? Yeah. So chances are good. I might not ever even talk to this.
Yeah,
dude.
He might not. He's probably not part of the day to day.
Who knows, right? Yeah. But the other part, that's the business side, right? Because really, when you're making a project like this, you have business and you have creative. Yeah. So the business is what I just told you about, right? But then you still have to deal with the creative. So I've been going through a lawsuit for 1.5 years, and it's still going. Yeah. Well, we're filming that entire process. So it's not like we can just say, all right, guys, we're done making the documentary now. That is a part of the story. So we've been filming that whole process, and the guy is losing really badly. but that's like a part of what's going on. I still had to pay out an astronomical amount of money for lawyers.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a lawyer out there, I promise you're overpaid. Like, I promise you're overpaid. Like, one of the lawyers I'm having to pay out right now is $400 an hour. $400 an hour.
Yeah.
Like, and then they have like minimal fees. So like, you're like, yeah, no matter what, you're going to have to pay us at least this much if we have a 5-minute phone call. I'm like, oh, you suck so bad. Like, but you just keep having to pay out. But at the end of the day,
that sucks.
If you don't, you basically just have to bend over and take it because the other guy sued you. So you can either sign away and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to afford to fight this. So what I'm going to do is just sign off that says I'm wrong. Like, I'm not wrong. Fight me. Like, I'll burn the house down with me in it. Like, I will find a way to make sure that we go to court. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to sue me frivolously. Okay, let's do this. We'll be made an example of.
With that craziness, has this, I don't think that we've ever spoke about this. Could this be a series?
Yeah, well, that's the goal. So ultimately, our goal starting off was to make a film, like an overall like film. And then if that went well, try to pitch it as a show. Because I think over the last 11 years, usually about once or twice a week, I do a McDojo breakdown. But I do news stories and stories in the industry all the time.
Yeah.
People dealing with things like fraud, extortion, murder, rape, pedophilia. It never ends over there. Like, I've done stories about martial arts gear companies that were just straight up ripping people off. Like Indo Athletics, you suck.
Elite. Remember
Elite
when we were doing a giveaway on Jiu-Jitsu Dummies, and you're like, hey, bro, let me just let
I'm
me
just
fill
letting you know. Like, Elite
I
was
pulled that
ripping people
down,
off.
and I tell everybody to this day, I'm like,
dude,
watch out with them.
That dude, like, he is still in operation. He has ripped off people for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But because they're all individual.
Elite? Or somebody else. I'm sorry.
Indo Athletics.
Okay.
But then he's like, now he's Jitzilla, right? But like, he's been ripping people off. And like, if I'm wrong, sue me. Please sue me. Please. We'll go to court and I will get all your dirty laundry, brother. Like, please sue me over the things that I'm saying because you know I'm right. Because at the end of the day, he has ripped off people for thousands and thousands of dollars. So after I did the story about Indo Athletics, right? And we're not talking like just Indo, right? He has Indo Athletics. He has like a jiu-jitsu facility, and he has like a jiu-jitsu competition that he was doing. Then he just like changed the name. He was like, I'm now Jitzilla again. It's like, why? Because like your Better Business Bureau, like affiliate, like scores like an F minus. I didn't even know they did minus. Like your
they do minus.
There's entire pages dedicated to people who just got ripped off from him.
Like, so you feel like you're as far as the documentary, you're closer than you've been before.
Always, every day is a little closer, but it's like it's not like a straight line.
Yeah.
Like you saw that old chart. Like, success looks like this. Like, no, really. It's just kind of like this. Like, it just is what it is. Like, at the end of the day, I had to, like, even stop engaging with people about it just because, like, look, if I gave you my word something's going to get done, it will get done. I don't get to determine when someone's going to help me get that done or how long that will take sometimes, but it'll get done. So, like, we've been steadily moving forward that needle. Yeah. And, like, we already filmed, like, 30 days, straight-up content. We then edited for another 60. That money got burnt quick. Then we turned around and we've been filming and monitoring the lawsuit, and then now we talked with 22 Summers. So we had a creative meeting, 2 great ones.
Okay.
They kind of showed us what they wanted out of the deal, what they thought was a better story. We 100% agree, which is cool because like sometimes in the creative process you just butt heads. But very cool. Like everything they said, we agreed with. So now it's just a matter of like we've got that written out on paper.
And you're in really good company, right? Beside like Jocko, I was looking up to make sure that I was correct. That I didn't imagine that I saw this. They're doing a movie about his kid's book.
Yeah,
Way of the Warrior Kid. Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. Yeah, they signed like a deal with UTA. I think UTA's independent financing gave them an astronomical amount of money. Yeah.
It's going to be a movie, right? They're doing a movie, not
I think so. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I think it's a movie.
Yeah.
But they gave them like millions and millions of dollars for this project from their independent film financing.
And the Chris Pratt, the Chris Pratt and Jocko relationship was, I think, Chris Pratt like wanted to be involved with Jocko Fuel, I believe it was, and like he became involved with Jocko Fuel like from an ownership standpoint. Like I think he either bought in or did something with that. Obviously, he's working with Jocko, and then now this comes about. So I mean, you're in good company. You're in the right circle, and of people that are getting things done in that world.
It's
so
weird. Like I always feel like once removed from being where I want to be. But maybe that's how you always feel. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like chasing the dragon a little bit. You're
But
like,
it's,
I'm here. Like one more step, and I'll be where I want to be.
I want to be in the room with people that know more than me, though, right? You want to be in that room of people who have done it or know more than you that you can learn from, right? If you're in a room and if you're always at the head of that room and everybody's like looking to you for stuff, as an owner, as a filmmaker, as a documentary maker, right? You want to be in a room with people that are like making things happen.
I just want to be
world.
in a room full of people who were on the same playing field in terms of how they respect each other.
Yeah.
Like being in a room full of people who are very successful doesn't mean they give a damn that you're in the room.
Sure.
And I've been in those rooms many times where like you're surrounded by these very successful people and you're like, man, this is awesome. And they give two shits less whether you're there or not.
Yeah.
Like I would rather be in a room with the janitor of a major company who actually has a conversation with me than the CEO of a company who doesn't want to talk to me at all. I will get more out of that relationship than I will the other.
I give away tons of information. People have asked me how to start a podcast, what they should do, what we use. Hey, I'll put you in touch with Bo. He'll tell you the equipment, like for free. Like, I do the same thing with the marketing company. Look, you might not be able to afford us. Let me give you some tips on the things that you could do yourself. And when you get a little bit bigger, maybe you come back. Or more than anything, right? It's good energy. You're putting out something good. You're good karma. And, hey, maybe they do come back or they know somebody, hey, listen, I might not be able to use you, but I know somebody that's got this big company and they can use you and here's a number. I mean, it's just, putting out good mojo. And I think that comes back. Martial arts is
cool like that too. Martial arts is super cool. There's a lot of like people who are all trying to just make it.
Yeah.
And the ones who kind of stick together and work together typically do, like as a whole, like as a team. They're got like a Epic Roll. I know it's a competitor from
I know.
Like I'm wearing this shit right now.
Yeah.
But like we've been homies for a long time, and like seeing his success and seeing him grow his company, and like seeing everyone like Brandon McCatherine from 10th Planet, like seeing his PGF jiu-jitsu tournament go from like
Zoltan bought in, right?
Yeah, Zoltan is part of the PGF. Zoltan bought into Epic Roll.
Yeah.
Like seeing all of those people just basically have good relationships.
Look at how that happened because it was Brendan met Zoltan, or at least developed a bigger relationship because of Epic Roll, right? Because they both became involved with Epic Roll. And then Zoltan became involved with PGF, right? Like, again, you're in the right room, right? You're in the right room, and then other things are happening
and
in
that's
that,
how
in
good
that room.
Networking is. Like, and most people in the martial arts industry will give you the benefit of the doubt. Like, it seems like the industry in itself is very open to having conversations with other people in the industry.
Yeah.
We can all relate to at least one thing.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like the old, like you can learn from anybody on the mat, right? There might be a blue belt that's fucking been studying some video or buys every instructional and can actually teach you something. You should be willing at least to learn from anybody on the mat or anybody in the room. I do look at it like that. I mean, I think sometimes egos get in the way for people and they can't do that. But I'm definitely one. I'm like, I'm a sponge. I'll learn from anybody. I love to teach as well and say, look, I see that you're about to make this mistake, man. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. I'm telling you, this is gonna go. And I'm good at. I like doing that and telling somebody, look, if you just go this way, this is the one over here, man. Do this one. This is the good one, man.
They always say that the white belt is the most dangerous person on the mat, right? They say that because they're spazzy and they might freak out and stuff like that. Well, like, isn't that what we're trying to study how to be better at? Is defending ourselves against dangerous people? Like, just because we're training doesn't mean I'm not going to learn something. Like. I had a friend break an orbital bone. He was trying to pass a white belt's guard. He went to an open mat.
Yeah.
Just like he was out of town. He went to an affiliate, went to the open mat, white belt spazzing out, throws an up kick while he's trying to pass guard right in the orbital bone. Like, that sucks, but like that is a lesson learned, like now
So,
don't get kicked in the face.
We're going to wrap it up. I know we got some other things that we're going to do after this, but appreciate you coming down again. Do you want to give anybody any other shout outs besides Epic Roll?
No, man. Like, what's been crazy is since I drove from Jacksonville to here, was like 4.5-5 hour drive, right? My YouTube like gained an extra 2,000 subscribers. So like one of my videos is like doing really, really well right now.
Yeah.
So like that's where I'm sending people. If you want to follow McDojoLife, go to YouTube.
Okay.
That's how I make these dollars. Damn it.
Okay.
I'm broke. Spending all my money helping these kids for free.
Unlock the power of your online presence with Black Belt Digital Marketing. Their reputation management program ensures your Google business profile is seen by more potential customers. Black Belt Digital Marketing is your full-service digital marketing agency specializing in local SEO and reputation management. Boost your business today. Visit bbdigitalmarketing.com. Your success is their priority.
Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up with a couple of quick shout-outs. So shout out to our friends over at combatcbds.com. You get 20% off with code JG. Code JJD.
Words.
BioPro Tech, or bioproteintech.com. I think you work with them as well, right?
I do, actually. And BioPro, my first, like they tell you on the package, right? You might have some, when you first start, you might see some of these like side effects. Like my first day I took it, I did have a little bit of a headache. I did like a hot yoga, which could have been my food intake. It could have been a lot of things, right? But after that, I feel fantastic. Like I've never been able to work out as much as I do now, unless I was in my 20s. Like, and they sent it to me. They were very like, hey, like take a stab at it, see if you like it.
Yeah.
And then after like the first, like I think 3 weeks of really getting into it, like I could do 2 a days, and I haven't been able to do that in a long time.
I love it. I'm very honest that when I was taking an over-the-counter testosterone pill, just one of these, after it was on Rogan and it was all those like roots and this and that. Well, I found one called Astroflav.
Okay.
And I was taking that, and I felt good. I started taking this, and he actually told me, he's like, don't stop taking what you're taking. Take this in combination with. And I'm very honest about it. I was a walking boner for like about 3 weeks. My sex drive went through the roof.
If erections last more than 4 hours, call more ladies.
It was. I'm on it. I'm very honest with that. Call more ladies. Yeah, ladies. You're right. It is creepy when you add ladies to the end of anything you say. So I legit, straight up, I was just like, this is amazing. I've been taking it. I think I'm probably going on about a year or more. I take the BioPro and the Plus at night.
I'm about 4 months in right now. I don't take the evening stuff as much. I know that I'm probably supposed to take that like every, they tell you to take it every day.
I can tell the difference in my sleep.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, I forgot to take it.
My problem is I'm just paranoid about sleeping through things.
Yeah.
So I don't want to like.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's definitely not like, oh my God, I'm so out. It's not like that. I find that I just fall asleep faster.
Yeah, it feels like a melatonin is what it feels like to me.
Sometimes I'm like I'm just like, man, I can't fall asleep. And I legit be like, shit, I forgot to take it. I can literally, like in that one moment, I can
tell the difference in recovery for sure.
Yeah.
I
love it. So you can get $30 off with code JJD on regularly priced kits, and that would be your order is going to total more than $295. Thank you to the BJJ box, which is back as well. They're doing a quarterly box now, not the monthly anymore. You can check them out at thebjjbox.com and get 20%. I said it wrong last episode. I said 20 because our first code was $10 off with code JJD10. He's updated that code and JJD20 to 20% off. Okay, so check them out. You can check us out at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies on Instagram, on Facebook, and then Jiu-Jitsu Dummies Podcast on YouTube and TikTok. And my personal IG is Uncle Milty BJJ on IG. McDojoLife.
On everything except for Reddit. Because if you're listening, you suck. There's a guy on Reddit who has a Reddit thread, and that is not me. It says McDojoLife. That's just some douchebag who took it, right?
Yeah.
On Reddit, it's the McDojoLife. And you'll tell the difference because my page is active and has like 97,000 subscribers on it. And that dude's got like 1,000 people who don't know what the page does. So bite me, Mr. Reddit guy. Don't you worry.
We will leave it there. Rob, thank you again. We got some things that we're going to film here in the studio, but thank you for watching and listening, everyone. Peace, love, jiu-jitsu. Us.